Hi, it's Sue with Everyday Artisan again, and I'm really late jumping on with my February wrap-up of my makes and wears. I was traveling the beginning of March, so I didn't get a chance to make a video, so it's a little late, but it's here. I'm gonna start with my makes. Just gonna go through what I had posted on Instagram, and I've got a few extra pictures rather than just what's on my Instagram, so that's kind of cool. I started the month off by finishing my Rose Shawl that I was telling you about in the last video. That was straight out of the Alabama Stitch book. I've got a lot of pictures that I took kind of along the way, so I'm thinking about writing a blog post about it. But I think my biggest lesson learned from that was it is 2 layers, which is wonderful and warm. And let me put up some pictures. I was kind of trying to play with other items in my wardrobe that I might be able to wear it with. But those are kind of warmer. And so having a real warm scarf wouldn't make sense to wear in spring and summer. So I think if I were to make it again, I would only make it 1 layer and just applique the pieces on top. I made it 2 layers. I made it tan, then navy, and then just applique the burgundy on top. But I think if I were to make it again, I would just make it a single layer of navy and go ahead and applique both the burgundy rose and the tan leaves on top. But that's always the beauty of making things, is you learn those kind of lessons. And it's good to have a warm rose shawl too. Okay, the next thing I wore was my Tartan Cropped Car Coat in black and with ochre embroidery thread. I wore it for Galentine's. I was getting kind of tricky, so I also wore the fingerless gloves with it. I'll show you another picture. You can see those better. Those were, I don't even remember how or why that I made those. I think I made those for my mom back in the day. Anyway, then I wore my black and navy Ezra Blazer, and couldn't believe when I pulled this out. I'm like, why don't I wear this more often? I think the black and navy, although I love it, is just such a dark color combination that, you know, I've kind of been trying to wear lighter and brighter, which is ridiculous showing I just had a black something the last time I wore something. Anyway, I love the Ezra pattern. I've only made that in the shorter blazer, and then I've made the long Ezra and the indigo I wear later that month. But it is a great pattern, and I just have it in my head that I think I want to make more coats or jackets. I've been making a lot of scarves lately. Anyway, let's see. The next thing I wore was a scarf. It was my ochre striped scarf, and this was just a tester for me. It was just leftover fabric, so I ended up, because it was a long piece across the grain as opposed to with the grain, so when I made it flat initially, but then whenever I wore it, it would kind of fold up on itself so that you couldn't see the design at all. It was folding up, the design part was being folded on the inside. So I just went and turned it inside out, stitched it together, and kind of made it into a tube. So it isn't exactly what I would want, but it works. And I loved trying the beading on that. I think the next thing I did was I had signed up for the Sonia Bandana, and I know my last video I think was the unboxing of the Sonia Bandana, and I've done all the colors on it. I don't know if I'm done with beading yet, but I'm loving it. Anyway, so the next thing, actually the day I took the workshop for the Sonia Bandana, I wore the Twilight pants. And I don't know if you can tell in this picture, I didn't get another picture of it. I also was wearing my Twilight cropped wrap that I made under this sweater, trying to just see how and why to wear it. Anyway, I was thrilled that I wore the pants because I've told you I made those like this time last year and haven't actually worn them. So that was awesome. Taking this workshop was incredibly awesome, and we kind of got a gift with the workshop that I didn't even realize was going to happen. They gave us a premium membership to the School of Making, I don't know what you call it exactly. It's the website, it's the community. It's access to their community where you can post questions or pictures and see what other people are making. And then they have instructions in there, and they have stencils, and they have patterns. So that was really exciting. The next thing I ended up doing was, I told myself I was never going to do this again, but I did it. I printed out a tiled version of the large Sonia pattern because my sister was like, oh, that's so cute. Even though my son says, he's like, I think it looks like a map, which I get that. But my sister's like, will you make me a wrap skirt for my birthday? So here I am. I printed out I didn't do, it's like 24 pages. I only did 6 pages. Because it's a repeating pattern, I was like, maybe I can get away with just doing one of the repeats instead of all 4 of them. So we'll see how that works. I'll let you know. Okay. Let's see. The next thing, it was the end of the Olympics. So I was getting on my USA spirit. So I wore my red headband. And actually there's a little bit of a story behind this too. I've been trying to figure out how to make belts, and well, actually one of the reasons is because this wrap shirt is actually one of my WIPs, work in progress, and it's going to need some sort of belt. So I've been playing with some things, but I played with the idea of the headband as a belt. So I was like pulling that out, and I pulled it out recently. I'm like, oh, I'll wear the red headband. Headbands don't look good on me. I don't know, I've tried wearing this as a babushka and it doesn't look good on me. I must have a weird shaped head. Anyway, wore the red headband, go USA. The next day I wore an old corset that I had, that's one of the things I worked on in February, is anytime a corset's more than a couple years old, it's going to be a little tight on me. So I did end up taking this corset. I made it from an old Washington Capitals hockey t-shirt. And I did end up adding 2 navy stripes down the side to be able to wear this. As it is in this picture, I'm wearing the navy tank underneath. And of course my navy cropped cardigan, because I wear those all the time. But I still need to do something. Those corsets, they're so darn low. And when I added the stripes on the corset, I've done that before, like on the fitted pattern. I've done it on several other things, like the t-shirt pattern. Have I done it on the tank pattern? I think I've done it on the tank. No, that's the corset. Anyway, I'm gonna need to do something because I had to add enough on the sides to be able to not be totally tight around my middle that it started gaping there. So I'm still playing with it, figuring out what I'm gonna do with it. But I had to wear it for a hockey game because the last time I wore it, the Washington Capitals won the Stanley Cup, and sure enough, USA Hockey won gold. So, woohoo, way to go me. Okay, then the next time I wore this, before I'd even put a lot of the beading on, just to wear it. But now I've since done the beading. I've done a couple different types of beading. Here's the armor beading. Here's just, oh, this is the bugle beads in a row. I've got sequins in a row. And then this is interesting. I've never done this before with chop beads, just kind of putting them all together. Loving it. And well, so yeah, I'll tell you later. Next came, I wore the long Indigo Ezra again. I love having any excuse I have to pull it out. This time I was just wearing a black turtleneck and black pants, so it kind of actually looks weird in the picture. Looks like I've got skinny little legs sticking out or something. But yeah, you might, if I'm trying to wear everything I own or I made this year, you're probably going to see that a lot. And the last thing I wore in February was just my faded skinny scarf, and that's kind of a cheat. It's got the little stars pattern, but it's faded. But all I did is I had ordered a scrap bundle of faded fabric, and I've made a few other things. You saw the tank last month. So far this month, and I'm not sharing it yet because I want another wrap-up video for March. I used it as the border of a bolero, but I also just had a long skinny strip, and so I took a couple strips and I stitched them together to make a long skinny scarf. And I'm wearing this with a brooch because a friend of mine told me that brooches are in this year. So I am trying to be in and trying to be cool. So that is what I made and wore in February. You know I've mentioned on several of these videos that, oh, go ahead and make a plain piece. It's quick and easy and makes everything in your wardrobe mix and match better. And that is true, and that is good, but I think I've been craving making an actual piece lately. So I have it in my head that I potentially am going to make something black with pewter to go with the, my black and pewter swing skirt. Last month I made just the plain pewter tank. I don't know if I think I want maybe a coat that's black with maybe like pewter edging. So one of the things this scarf taught me, besides the beading, is that the zero waist. I've done the zero waist before on my rose wrap cardigan, but this scarf was really good for that. And I'll show you what that looks like on the back side. This is the back side. So the front side and the back side. And I think that I will be more likely to be able to make things if I do this zero waste project, so I don't use up so much fabric. And I also like how it makes a piece just lighter in general. And then I've got two things on my work in progress pile, actually three things. I've got an old, I stenciled, not very well, an old piece of white fabric that I was going to make as a table runner at one point, back when I had my studio, and I never did. So I'm cutting it in half and making it cafe curtains because I think it looks really cool with the light coming through with the two different layers. It really highlights the stencil and the design. So I'm working on that. I'm working on, this is a long sleeve wrap top. Let's see. I stopped doing anything because, again, the wraps are so low that you have to wear something with them, and so I kind of put it on the back burner, but I just brought it out recently to test out something else. So I decided to put a binding on it. It has, like I said, I had just kind of left it. So you can see I've even got things pinned here. So I'm putting a rosebud stitch binding on it. I don't have the ties on it. My thought is I'm just going to put a tie around the outside like this. I was thinking I could also wear it open, which then this flops open with the binding and the stitching, but the rosebud, the stitching doesn't look bad even on the opposite side. So I'm going to go for it. So this is a work in progress, and then part of my reasoning behind wanting to do a beaded project was I have started, but am only about 1/3 of the way through, a midi skirt in black with a line of armor beading around the bottom. So I'll show you a picture of my inspiration, and one of the reasons I'm excited about starting that back up again, I got frustrated with it because if you don't use a beading needle, the needle doesn't go through the beads. And so I was like, this won't go through my bead, and it was taking too long and it was too frustrating. But now that I've done this, I'm like, oh yes, beading, I love beading, I want to do more beading. So I'm bringing that back out, and I'm excited because we just did a color vote for the School of Making, and the color that won is charcoal. And so many of the things that she made that would look good with that skirt are out of charcoal. So once that charcoal's out, I'm going to order some fabric and make a few things inspired by everything. Which is that book? Is that Studio and Design? I think that's Studio and Design, the one that shows you how to do all the different techniques. So I've got lots more that I'm wearing, lots more that I'm working on. So stick with me, come back again next month. Hopefully I'll get it out before the middle of the following month. But I really appreciate you guys that are following along, and love all your comments. Let me know what you're working on. What, if anything, you want I could show you. And I really, again, really appreciate you guys. So thank you so much.